Hey there, greetings again, fellow Liberians, sons of the soil, sons and daughters of the continent of Africa, a continent of wealth and prosperity, a continent of resilience people. Again, I want to say welcome to the Liberia Enlightenment movement. Awareness. My July 26 podcast, Liberia is a failed state. But here's the question I want us to ask ourselves. As you come across this video, I want you to ask yourself this question. Why does the government in Liberia keep failing? Why government is not working for the people? Because government was created to work for the people and by the people. Why is it government is not working? Why? That's the question I want you to ask yourself as you come across this video. A Liberian or a friend of a Liberian, you can ask that friend, why is it government isn't working in Liberia? And here's the one major reason I have come to discover in my research and finding my identity and tracing my root as a Liberian, as an African, and as a Bassa man from the Bassa tribe. Though I'm Davis, other people refer to me as Congo as they call in Liberia, but I'm a son of Liberia. I'm son of Africa. Back to my question. Why the government of Liberia is not working? Here's my discovery. You may disagree with me or you may agree with me. The government that is instituted today in Liberia was not created by our founding fathers. You hear me again? The government that we have today in Liberia was not created by our founding fathers. It was borrowed. It was borrowed from America. Look at the government system of Liberia and look at that of America. They didn't create the government. They borrowed it. So, from a logical perspective, it will be difficult for you to be able to implement a system that you borrow, a system that you did not create, a system that was not created by you. How can you implement such a system? That's why government had not been able to work since the formation of Liberia. Because the government was borrowed, it became central to Monrovia. It became central to that place, that seat of the first colony. It became central because they borrowed it. They didn't create it to be able to implement it. But because our founding father wanted prestige, our founding father wanted to be the second independent nation in a black nation in the entire world. The first was Haiti. So they borrowed the government of the United States. If you go back to our history, our ministers were called Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Interior. That it is in America. They borrowed it. They did not create it. You're about to birth a nation. What do? Sit down and have dialogue and create a government that will work for your contest, that will work for the people you're about to declare independence for. That's the logical perspective right there. Tell me, you being head of an organization, did people go and find another person's constitution and bring it and just change a few words and say this is our constitution? No. You write a constitution that fits your context, a constitution that you can be able to live with. But our founding father didn't do it. Let's take, for example, the Pledge of Allegiance. It's a sin that of America. The only thing our founding father changed, they changed America to Liberia. How dare you talk about our pledge allegiance to the Republic of Liberia and to the Republic of which it stands? You didn't write it. So what are you saying? You didn't write it. You didn't create it. You didn't take your story to place it in the allegiance to the country. So then how do you find a country now about 4 million in population to be a patriotic to their country, to love Liberia, to put Liberia first? As I said, the Enlightenment movement is any man or woman who want to lead Liberia or be president of Liberia or lead agencies in Liberia must love Liberia more themselves. The struggle that took place in Liberia, the struggle before Liberia came to be, the struggle of slavery, the struggle between the colonists and those who were there, the battles, all these struggles should have been reflected, should have been enshrined into our document. But instead, our founding fathers borrowed a government from America and they think it could work in Liberia. So that's the reason I came to this conclusion that Liberia had continued being a failed state. Because the government in Liberia wasn't created by our founding fathers, wasn't created by Liberians. Again, it was borrowed. If you disagree with me, send me an email. Let's get on my podcast and talk about it. It was borrowed. So that's one of the major problems. The government is not working for Liberians. That's one of the major reasons. Look at Liberia today. Aliens and foreigners comes and take hold and runs our economy, while Liberians sit back and remain as slaves in their country. Because our founding father and even those who were creating the whole commotion about native versus Congo, the 133 years before Doe got elected, instead of Doe looking at all the wrongs that happened, instead of Doe bringing the country and uniting the country to say, we are one people. We are all sons and daughters of Mother Africa. Doe didn't do it. Instead of Doe putting a heart to one of the dummiest march in the Liberian history, native woman born Soya killed Togo. How can you say you love your country? How can you say you are people and daughters and sons of Africa and celebrate? That could have been a moment for Samuel Doe to unite the country and say, despite those who were here and the American Liberians, those who repatriated the country, though they have bring confusion and there have been division among brothers and sisters, sons and daughters of this soul, it's time for us to come together as Liberians. Let's realize we are all Liberian. We are all sons and daughters of Africa. So let's move forward for a better Liberia. But Doe didn't do it. His first order of business, he executed 13 people. That was his first order of business. After executing them, but still, people from that same group, he still kept them to direct him. So that's the reason I'm saying this whole Enlightenment movement is about knowing our history, finding our identity, knowing who we are, looking at our faults and failures as a nation. When we find and look for all these faults and failures, then we can be able to look forward and see what we can do as one people. I must tell you, we are resilient people. We are very, very resilient people. We are caring and loving people. So it's time for us to revisit our history and reflect and see the effect that our history have on us today. Like on Saturday, August 15th, I will be discussing Liberia and the slave trade is one of the things that affected Liberia today. But most of us do not know because we have not taken the time to research, to read, and to know our identity. Because when a man knows, when the woman knows his or her identity, he or she knows where they want to go and what they want to achieve. You see, the idea of just yelling politician, or this one is terrible, this one is terrible. The whole issue is us. Let us come to the table of brotherhood. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, let's come to the table of brotherhood. But before coming to that table, let's look at our faults and failures as a nation, as a people. Then we can be able to take a new direction. Let me tell you one part of our history that most of us do not know. Today, the Day people from Nimba County, we call them Gil. But one of the things most Gil people do not know, the name Gil was given to them by the Malinga, and the Malinga were slaves catcher. The Malinga, there were people from somebody in the Africas today, Malay, they were slave catcher. They come and grab people and sell them. So they decided to call the Day people Gil. And the meaning of Gil, the literal translation of a Gil means slaves. So even in modern day Liberia today, we still call our brothers and sisters slaves. But most of them do not know that Gil means slaves. But that is something that we need to know and reflect and be able to come together as one people. Because if Liberia is to rise again, as we keep saying, there is no one person who will do that. We need to reflect. We need to learn our history. We need to see where we want to go as a people. But most of all, we need to start placing Liberia first. Anyone or any daughters of Liberia must love Liberia more themselves. Let's forget about putting ourselves first and putting God and putting Liberia first. Because when we do, then we will be able to live out the true meaning and true creed of that little land called Liberia. Liberty, freedom. So as I always say, I will be with you every week on my Enlightenment conversation. So again, I want to say thank you for listening, and I encourage you to like the Liberia Enlightenment page on Facebook. Thank you, and God bless.